Get our side chat. I'd like to call the Albany Selectmen meeting of December 14th to order at 5:30 p.m. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
New business approval of December 7th Selectmen budget work session minutes.
I make a motion to approve the minutes for the work session.
I'll second. Any discussion? No? I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Approval of the December 14th, 2022 consent file that consists of review and sign manifest in the amount of $166,297, $166,297.40. This includes payroll and accounts payable for 12/14/22. And that is it on the consent file. Imagine that.
That is it.
So short.
That's what happens when you meet every week.
You want to know, I want you to make a motion. I know you
Okay,
want.
I do. I make a motion
To what?
to accept the consent file.
I second that.
All right. Any discussion? I'll call it to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
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 Dorothy?
I'm here,
Aye.
but I don't know, I just got in, so I don't know what you're talking about.
We just approved the consent file and now we're moving on to the town administrator's report.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Kelly?
Hang on 1 minute.
Oh, sorry. We're going faster than your fingers.
So when I got hired, it was agreed that I would get 6 holidays and I've had 5. So I'd like to know if the board would be willing to close town hall on Monday, December 26th, so I get my 6th
It's
holiday.
expected anyways, so.
It is?
Mhm.
Well, I wish somebody told me that
I
before.
could have gone for another one.
Actually,
Oh.
January 2nd would be recognized as January 1.
Okay.
I'll make a motion to close town hall on Monday, December 26th and January 2, January 2, December 2023. My God, it's been a long day. In recognition of the Christmas holiday and New Year's.
Second.
Discussion.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it.
Call to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, so we had sent out a letter on October, I think it was October 29th or October 19th, I can't remember exactly, middle of October. We sent a letter to William Lambert on the suggestion of Jason Ayat, who kind of helped us run the DOT portion of the Route 16 project 255957. And we sent William Lambert a letter because you have to request the first part of asking for a lowering of the speed limit, which you guys were kind of interested in at least looking into because the constituency seemed to be interested in looking into, is to request a speed study. I pinged Mr. Lambert a couple weeks ago and he got back to me by email on Monday and said that he was sorry because I must have misunderstood because the speed study was done before the hearing on September 28th. They hire TomTom to do it all, and it was already done. And then he provided a link to go and look at the data. And basically, what happened was we've been denied that request because we don't meet the mathematical formula. It has to be over 85% of the posted speed limit, and the average speed limit was coming out to be like 53.85, and that's not enough to lower. So we've been denied that, and then Kelly, if you want to explain, he reached out to DOT, I guess, today.
I spoke with Bill Lambert this morning and to get clarification on the letter, which it's kind of self-explanatory, but it gets complicated when you think of a road study, and as we know, the formula, and they follow formula to set speed limits. So I told him we understood that, and we're not thrilled about it, but we do understand. And I said, what as a town can we do to ease people's minds and maybe alleviate some of the concerns with the speed on the road and until the new project gets done. And he was very receptive. He was actually happy that I reached out to him. He said that there's a lot of things that they can recommend. I know Tamworth raised their speed limit from 35 to 45. Tamworth bought solar lit up street signs saying 45 to announce that it's changed. Tamworth paid for those. They had to get permission from the highway department to put them there, but Tamworth maintains them. And he said it's a decent idea, but as we know, people get accustomed to signs like that. They get used to seeing them. He said that the highway department in Tamworth is going to remove them, put them back, and remove them, put them back to try to get it to where it's not an everyday occurrence. So that's possibly work. But he said a few things. He said what he might look at is maybe a sign that says headlight use advised in our stretch of road. He said when people think they have to put the headlights on, they naturally think there's an impending danger or for some reason that would have to use those. He said there's way not to trick people, but to make people think. He was kind of brainstorming what we might be able to do. And I said, well, that, we're all for all of that type of thing. But I said that we need something immediate. We need something that's going to, because we're very concerned about it, as he knows. He said that he would like to see, and this is where it got complicated, he would like to see the listing for our road. And it gets confusing, and I just made the phone call today, but he said there's a statutory designation for roads like ours. It's a rural 2-lane north and south road that the designation is that it's a 55 mile per hour designation. He said in reality, he could post this as 55 because that's how it's designated. He said he would like to see a change in the legislature that made it the wording different, that he could use it as a 45 and then
Up to his discretion,
it's
maybe?
up to his discretion. After that is changed, it's his discretion where he sets it at with the new parameters. So the way to do that is through our representative. So when I got done with him, I talked to Representative McConkey. I know he's not our rep anymore, but he is on the Public Works and Highway Committee. And he was very receptive too. And I worked with him before, and I'm going to work with him again on this. And he said that the legislature, unfortunately, is closed for the year now. But this is something, if we move and work diligently, we can possibly put something to the legislature for next year. And I'm sure Rick is much more versed on this, and maybe he can add a good comment to it. So if you wouldn't mind calling on Rick.
I looked through all the LSRs, I don't know, 2-3 days ago, looking for what the brains and Concord were trying to pull. And I did notice there's an LSR in there to give select boards the authority during tourist seasons to reduce speed limits where safety is a issue. Just an
I
FYI.
never seen that one.
Well, it's an LSR. It's something
On
that's
State Road, Rick?
They did, all you get is listings for the
Yeah, okay.
LSRs when they come out. You're gonna have to wait until the actual wording for the statute comes out.
Thank you.
And from a personal standpoint, I live on 16. I think if they widen the shoulders and put some turning lanes in, it'll go a long way to making it more safe to go through the S's.
And you're right, and that was mentioned.
Bottom line.
And he said that is in the works. What the other things they do when they improve a road like that is they'll put signage, even turn ahead or arrows or something to give people the idea that they have to maneuver through the area so that they'll use more caution. but
They need turning lanes in a lot of places.
I guess there was a concerted effort as of last year to put more signage for turns and for roads coming up and things like that. I didn't notice it, but he said they've done that already, but he'll look into more. I said that Tamworth also has a big sign that says it's a federal law for hands-free electronics. And there's a big one in Tamworth that I notice every time. Is that things like that make people think, even for a split second, that they're being watched. So there are things we can do. The speed limit, he said, the only way to get the speed limit changed is to change that designation, which Mark is all for, and he will write that up and he will present that to the legislature for next year. In the meantime, Mark's been in contact with Bob, Bill, and they're gonna work together on it. So just that one letter, but everyone is very receptive to this. So I think it's up to us to keep it in people's thought process. So I was very encouraged by it. But yeah.
Thank you. Thank you
You're
for doing that.
Yeah, thank you so much.
And it's ongoing.
Yeah.
So the other thing I need to talk to you guys about is, at your last meeting, you revised both the planning board and the conservation commission's budgets downwards a little bit. And had me send it out to them and tell them if they disagreed, they could come before the board. Both the planning board and the conservation commission disagree with your changes and would like to meet with you. So I thought I'd try to put Sean Wadsworth in for December 28th meeting. And then the conservation commission has specifically asked for a January meeting. I thought I'd try to put him in for the 114 meeting.
If you don't hear from, we would put them both on one night.
Okay. Yeah, so I would have to move Sean back to January because Concom can't make it in December.
Okay.
So I'll try splitting them up, but yeah, if I can't, I'll put them both on.
Anybody
14th.
else?
No, I gave it to Sandy and she asked me a question about her searches, but no, I sent, you didn't make any changes to the highway, so.
No.
And zoning hasn't really been active, so I can't imagine they'll block. And that was about it, so.
Good. Anything else?
Nope, that's it for me.
Appointments, Sheriff Dominic Ricciardi, recap 2022 and discuss any changes for proposed operations for budget for 2023. Welcome. Hello. How are you?
Good yourself?
Good.
Yeah. So I had submitted what I submitted to the county with the higher pay rate at $75 an hour instead of $70 an hour. And that's mostly because of fuel and stuff like that, so. So I was informed that maybe you want to have a meeting as far as, because that was on what we did last year, which was a total of what, 416 hours for the year, which is what it's been consistently. So there might be a thought of increasing. I know we had that town meeting, which I think was good. I know the rule of thumb was the deputies to kind of stay off of Route 16 patrol, but we may want to look at that differently.
What were your thoughts about that meeting and what was said about increasing patrols on Route 16 in Albany?
Yeah, I mean, I think we should. I guess for the activity that we're seeing during our patrols, it's pretty light off of Route 16. So I think a little more time spent on Route 16 won't hurt. It can certainly maybe help the situation out there. To take an active role in the speed.
Do you have the personnel to cover it?
to cover what we have, projected, yes. If you increase the hours, I'm sure they would step up. It is a detail, it's beyond their regular hours, so.
Okay.
And also part-timers can do it if the full-timers don't.
Okay, okay. What would be your suggestion for us?
I'm not sure what you're looking at. I mean, my first thought was maybe an extra day a week, but I'm not sure if the town.
I just calculated that would be 15,600. So we could discuss that. That's another reason why, cutting the budget in other places where we can, it may not cover the 15,600, but I think I'd rather put it there.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, and that's not all that it went up, because it went up the extra $5, so it went from
Well, that's why I
20
it'll be an
22 to
additional.
31, so an additional 15, so it'll be actually a net increase of 24, so it's almost doubling that budget. Just,
So when you say an extra day, would that be an extra day on Route 16 in one day, or would that be spread out?
Well, that, I think we need further discussion as far as what you want to see. I mean,
Right.
I don't think, taking our eyes off the back road is a good thing either.
Right.
So whether it be, say, an hour or two or split the time,
Yeah.
right, certainly would be an idea. To say, okay, that third day is all on Route 16, I think that would be good.
Yeah, that's what I would.
Right.
So, yeah, I think splitting it, I think would be the best bang for the buck.
I like that.
How do you feel about enforcing 50 miles per hour? Do you give them 50? Do you give them 52?
Steve won't.
I know Steve won't. We'll put him in cuffs, but I mean, is it going to help us to? We're not going to get so adamant that we're going to say 50 miles per hour. You're done. I mean, I want to.
Yeah, I mean, you can't, one.
Right,
It
right.
is discretionary as far as the officer goes.
Yeah.
The rule of thumb, when you're really looking at stopping for speed enforcement, you're looking anywhere from 5 to 10 over to start stopping them. And say, we're out here, and,
Yeah.
it's because of reasons
Right.
that are obviously happening.
There was a comment made at that meeting from the Madison police chief about Multnomah. And Multnomah, and I've been through Multnomah, and they don't allow one over. And they're known for that, and I slow down to a crawl. And if you get in the people's psyche that they have to, it's a good possibility they're gonna get pulled over. I think it would take a long time to get to that, to where, especially when we don't have the same people traveling the road every day. But
you also have to have the court uphold that, because
Oh, right, I know.
in Francistown,
But
they
it's
used to
not
write
all-
you for 31, and the
Yeah.
judge in Francistown, when you went, would not, because of the plus or minus on the calibration, unless that radar gun had been calibrated within 24 hours, the judge would not.
it's not always about
stick to
writing a
that
ticket either. It's
Presence.
presence
I'm
and
sure
getting
that-
pulled over.
They don't want
It's
to
not
go
always
to
about the
court
ticket.
for 2
No,
miles over.
no, I'm
They
saying
got-
And we won't probably write a ticket for that. It's just that idea of stopping them from
Yeah.
5 to 10 over.
Can we
and-
write a
and then
letter?
catching on.
Could we write a letter to state police and ask them to do more on 16 as well? Like when they see it, actually write a ticket?
You can,
You're right all day long.
Well, these
um,
fatalities can't be any fun for them, because it means their major crime gets
no,
sucked
I
into
mean,
that, right? An accident reconstruction and.
yeah, I mean, those are unfortunate circumstances. To say that just writing tickets is gonna change that, occurrence is a guess. I mean,
No, I mean,
Certainly,
it's
'cause-
not a guess, it's
'cause
statistically that
some of
people will
them-
go as fast as they feel the road
right,
is safe.
but some of those accidents aren't because of speed, so.
But
So-
state police presence,
And you have to understand that,
it's a state
you
road.
know, dare I say that, most of the law enforcement agencies in this county are short-handed right now. State police
So
is
maybe
down about
should we-
75.
Voting on this, or wait until?
Yes, yes.
I have a state trooper that regularly parks in my driveway, in and around the backside of that bush all the time.
It's good. I think we should definitely further discuss this and, like I said, if we can at least find some of the money somewhere else in the budget to increase yours, I think it's definitely a really good idea.
Well, you could also start with like 2 shifts a month and see if it
You
has
could
an
also
outcome.
just say, okay, don't restrict yourselves to the back roads too, but that really works because we've seen it.
Yeah,
We've seen it work over the past 2 years, so.
I think the people going to that meeting are ready to step up and do something about this, so I think we argue for more patrol.
Yeah.
We shouldn't have a problem, just no matter how much we wanna do. And whatever you'd recommend on what's gonna make a difference. If they see a car out there every once in a while, or is it something we wanna really people to see?
Well, I mean, this is a place to start at if we do an extra day, an extra shift. This is some place to start and see what they come back with and,
Right, I
Adjust
think that is a good place to start, and if the town says, yeah, we don't want to quite go that high, then that's up to them.
Yeah.
If it ends up being 3 weeks a month or 2 weeks a month, that's whatever, but
Well, it also has to be on days, I mean, 10 o'clock on a Tuesday morning is not the heavy travel day too, and that might be hard with your shifts and your available staffing, because really Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday are probably the big days.
but that's why we make it random, let him choose. And that way nobody knows when they're gonna be out there, and that's worked in the past.
yeah, and what we've seen in Eaton was the opposite of
Yes.
you all, that
Yeah,
they didn't want us on the back roads, they wanted 153 and Brownfield Road.
right,
So that's pretty much where we stay, and they're pretty much crawling through there. It is much slower speed, obviously,
Yeah,
but
yeah.
they were doing the 15 over without thinking about it.
Right.
So I think once you start hammering it, it'll start to get noticed.
Okay, that's what we're hoping.
And we can always change it as time
when do
goes.
you need to know by, so you can get a good feel for what we want? Like by the end of the year?
Well, I guess that part of the budget really isn't affected because it's offset by the revenue. So,
Okay,
we can change that up until they,
okay,
I feel, up until they pass the budget.
okay,
Um,
and we'll let you know then.
yeah.
It's-
The question would be, when do you want it to start? If it's January, April, that,
Well, it's already in the budget and it's a normal expenditure for us, so we can spend it.
Right.
It's just-
and then change it later
We're
in
just
the year.
increasing it,
Right,
yeah,
okay.
yeah. If it didn't go through, then we'll decrease, which, I mean, right now, it should be a little bit on the low side anyways, because we're not having summertime traffic at this time, but I would definitely like to see it move forward.
No, we have to push for it.
Yeah.
How do you
Yeah.
feel, I don't know if you heard me talk about the signage and other things they have.
No, I think it was all good thoughts,
Yeah.
because throughout the state, the signage is sporadic
Yeah.
as far as speed limits.
Yeah.
Right.
You go miles without a sign. My thought was maybe they kind of flip-flop the Ospey speed with the Albany speed, because where it's 45 in Ospey, could stand to be 50. It's a better road down there,
Right,
and at least move this up to 45.
and we're gonna have a better road, but,
Yeah, maybe years.
but then the design team, they call it, is gonna be working with us to come up with ways to, and they had a word for it, change the character of the road, so that people visually think they should be going slower. However they do that, some kind of magic, I don't know, but I'm all for it, so. Yeah, but we need to do something right away. And that town meeting would like to let people know that we're on top of this.
That's a great idea.
Anything, Jen? No, I agree.
Yeah.
With what you're saying about getting on top of
This
this and
is something we can do
just,
now.
yeah, at least presenting to the town, for town meeting that we have a plan and
this is what we're doing.
Then, of course, I run a section down at 113. I almost,
The skid
I
marks.
almost got hit
There's
today.
New ones.
I almost got hit today.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I spoke, like I said, I spoke with the people from the state about that. They had traffic counters down there. They are, something's happening, I'm not getting the full story, but
Yep.
I go to pull out and they stop to let me out. Don't stop to let me out, keep going, and they stop up here to let me out, and then it's Wildwood's trying to, I thought I was gonna explode, but.
Or it's the opposite, where people are going 90.
Exactly,
Right,
and
Yeah.
then someone's waving you to come out
Yeah.
into that. But that's on our radar too, because that, we own that too. so.
I think that's the first intersection they should change.
Yes,
Yeah.
it becomes suddenly high on their
Dangerous.
priority list, so we got that accomplished.
That's good.
So I would suggest, I mean, we can step out of the side streets, starting in January,
Sure.
or whenever, I mean, we can do that now. and start.
Yeah, well, I don't have
I don't know.
If that's-
a problem with you doing that now.
I don't
It's
know,
up
we
to
only
us.
have 2 weeks left anyway, so, yeah, I have no problem with that. Your chance there.
I believe we're gonna be asking to do that anyway,
Yeah.
how this goes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially down by my house, because
Yeah,
my neighbors drive me nuts. I know Steve's already talked to him, so. But with 16, we'll be all right. So that's good.
Good.
Appreciate you coming in.
All right.
Thank you
Thank
so
you.
much.
Thanks, Tom.
All right.
Yeah,
you.
thank you very much.
Have a happy holiday.
Yeah,
You too.
Alrighty, moving right along. 6 PM, public hearing to review and discuss the proposed Carroll County Communications District Agreement.
Well done. Well done.
And it came out without blubbering.
Yes.
That's good.
If you guys wouldn't mind introducing yourself for the camera.
I'm Matthew Platch, and I'm here on behalf of the Carroll County Communications District Planning Committee. To talk
That's a
about the district
mouthful.
agreement.
CCC something.
And I'm Rick Highland, I'm the Albany representative to that committee.
Very good.
And I'm one of the 2 people who started all this.
And so I will open the public hearing at 5:57 PM. All the public we have here.
Everybody, yeah,
One public on the phone.
I have a,
there we go.
may I ask a question?
Yes, you may. Dorothy Solomon on the phone.
I have been asked by the people who live on Motview Drive to bring this to your attention. Motview Drive, that has nothing to explain to people what the speed limit is. And consequently, it's very dangerous, especially on the curve, because people coming off the tank are speeding far beyond what they should be doing on Motview Drive. And we were hoping that the town would come up with an idea, perhaps a signage or something, to indicate to people that they have to slow down when they come into Motview Drive. Hello?
Yeah,
Yeah, we're thinking, there's no sign there now, Dorothy, for speed limit?
No, nothing about speed limits
on Motview, you're saying.
on Motview. There's no speed limit any place in the whole development, but Motview is the major portion of it.
Okay, we can ask Curtis to maybe
Signage.
put some signs up on Motview.
That they would have, I think that's what they are asking. I know when I come in, there's that big turn you have to make, and people coming down the other way to go out of the development. I don't know how many times I have had to avoid crashing into somebody because they're coming around too fast and too wide.
On the tank. That's on the tank though, right? Or is that on Motview? Okay. Let's say tank.
All right, Dorothy, we're gonna reach out to Curtis and see if he can't help you guys out.
Okay, I appreciate that.
Yep, you're welcome. We'll continue on with our public hearing.
I'll start. Steve Box and I, as you were aware way back, started the Carroll County Broadband Committee. that has morphed into the Carroll County Communications District Planning Committee
Mhm.
per legislation that we fought for and conquered over the years to get that going. I have been, because of Steve being under the weather, been in communications with all the ISPs, internet service providers, through the pandemic and right along. We were able to get the electric co-op to service with their build out of Sandwich into Lancet. And Doug McVicker is very happy up there,
I bet he
along
is.
with a few of the residents along the way there in Tamworth. Consolidated Communications, under the new name of Fidium, is building out Conway, North Conway. They're gonna build out Albany as part of that build out. They're gonna build out Eaton as well. They're gonna go in, I don't know how far into Madison they're gonna go, but they're gonna do a portion of Madison. And they are gonna build into Jackson and Bartlett. What next year's plans are, they haven't released that yet. The electric co-op, they have electric subscribers throughout Carroll County. And with their $50 million grant that they just received in October, they're gonna build out another considerable part of Carroll County. So progress is being made. For the most part, Albany's gonna be covered with fiber optic cable. You've seen the trucks around, they're running it everywhere, okay? I would like to encourage the Board of Selectmen, okay, to put on the warrant to join the communications district, basically in support of what we're trying to do in Carroll County, and support the rest of the towns that haven't been fortunate enough or whatnot, to get on the early builds. It's not gonna cost the town any money. We
Right.
built that into the agreement. There's not gonna be any taxpayers' money. And I spoke with Steve Knox today, and we will volunteer to be the rep and alternate for that district should it be approved. And the district, the way it's set up with the statute, it's gonna turn the district into an actual municipality, similar to like a sewer district or a water district or anything like that. Which means we will be able to apply for grants, which the original committee couldn't.
Right.
And that's the problem we ran into with that first batch of money that became available. We're gonna use the district, not as an owner of an ISP or supply and service or anything like that, more as a facilitator to put partners together privately.
Right.
I did a forum in Tamworth last week at their invitation. And I think one of the problems in Carroll County and all over the country for that matter is broadband is not a utility. It's not guaranteed to be in front of everybody's house like electricity and telephone. Which means we have to rely on either the government, which they can't do anything right, okay, or private enterprise. And private enterprise are capitalists. They have to show at least $1 profit or it's not worth their while to do anything. And money is really the object there because they need so many houses per mile to make it profitable to be able to do it. In all our discussions with them, I talk to them at least once a week, all of them. And they've kept the prices under control. I hope to have fiber optic at my house here within the next week.
Really? That quickly? I have a question, and it really doesn't have to do with
Yeah,
Albany.
and well, let me just,
Go ahead.
Matt Platch, was on our original committee and he was hired as our consultant. I had got a grant from the commissioners as part of the ARPA funds
Yes.
for $30,000 to hire a consultant. We only had 2 replies and he won the
Lucky me.
thing. And he's doing a great job. He knows the problem of Carroll County. So
I do know.
Matt, I'll let you take over from here.
The other bidder was in Vermont. Okay, I don't think there's
She had a
anyone,
question first.
oh, go ahead.
So you were talking about New
She's old
Hampshire.
and she's gonna forget it if we keep going.
It's very true.
I know you.
If New Hampshire Electric Co-op rolls out in, what towns did you say, Bartlett and Jackson?
The
No, no, no.
electric co-op, no,
Electric co-op.
the electric co-op, looks like they're gonna do Hart's location.
Okay. So if they roll out there and then Fidium decides, hey, we want to create a little bit of competition,
It's
where does the district lie at that point? I mean, or the people who, voted to be a part of it, do they get the choice or do they have to stick with?
Well, it's gonna be up to private enterprise as to where they wanna go. We've kept it on their radar, and I think all the attention that we've gotten has helped tremendously. Where it goes is gonna be totally up to where they think they can make the most profit,
Of course.
ultimately.
Makes sense.
The district would work with any provider that wants to provide, that wants to build.
So it's not like they can come in and just
We're not gonna,
monopolize.
we're not gonna be issuing monopolies or, we believe in private competition. And we don't believe the taxpayers in the towns should be paying for it,
Infrastructure.
so. Possibly in some, if there's a place that's very difficult to build, then if the town wants to, they can. So,
Well, I
the
just,
district isn't good.
I spoke with Jeb Bradley, we're trying to change another statute right now to allow for revenue bonds to all, right now it's restricted only to unserved. It should be open to underserved and also to people that are served, because you want to drive competition. Competition's gonna set the price.
Yep.
Ultimately. So,
I think what I'd like to do is walk through some of the highlights of the district
Yeah.
agreement.
You weren't here. I have to leave at 6:15.
Okay.
I have another meeting at
I can be
6:30.
quick.
just watch the speed limit.
And
I know.
so, the purpose of real quick, section 2, the purpose. The Carroll County Communications District shall encourage, facilitate, and promote the establishment of state-of-the-art, symmetrical, high-speed broadband internet connectivity and service to every residence and business within Carroll County, working cooperatively or in partnership with existing communications companies. So what we want to see is symmetrical, state-of-the-art, super high-speed, like fiber would provide. What we have now, 25.3 is the definition of broadband, and it's just too slow. You can't do what needs to be done with only 3 megabits per second upload. It's great for watching Netflix movies, but not fast enough for really communicating. School at home, work at home, telehealth, people are consulting their medical professionals and their doctors over the internet now. And one-on-one Zoom conferences work great if you have a good connection. So symmetrical is what we're really going for. With fiber to every doorway, we would have state-of-the-art, we'd have what they have in the cities. And we don't have that now. But so when we got together, we started meeting at the beginning of the year. We had a bunch of, what do we meet, 3 or 4 times, and the group decided, let's go forward. It makes sense to go forward with the district. So we started this effort to create the district agreement. During the discussions, while we created it, the issue of what would the district do came up. And it was pretty much a consensus that we don't want the district to be building the network. The district is not going to be an ISP. The district will facilitate, will help, will promote, will work with existing providers though, and will not become the provider. We can get into partnership, we can get into an agreement. We're not going to be the provider. We really don't want the district taxing the towns or the citizens. Municipal government has that power. But we've restricted it in this district agreement. I want to read that because that's the key. That's the key provision here. The district shall not incur debt that obligates any member town or citizen thereof to make payment thereon. Nor shall the district raise revenue from any individual member town except in the form of a voluntary contribution by such member town. The district shall have no authority to raise revenue by taxation upon any member town or citizen thereof. No member, that would be the towns, shall have any obligation to the district for providing services or in-kind or monetary contributions or for allowing use of or access to real property except by written agreement entered between such member and the district. You're free to do that, but you don't have to. So there's no monetary or cost or service obligation that the town owes to the district.
And what would it take to amend that agreement on the district?
There's
to
two
come back
ways
to
to
the
amend, there's different ways to amend the agreement, but that section can only be amended by going back to the voters and 2/3, you need a 2/3 majority, well, I should probably read. Amendment of agreement. This agreement may be amended by a 2/3 majority vote of the governing board, except for sections 5, 7, and 12. And that was section 5 that I just read, which shall only be amended by majority vote of the legislative bodies of 2/3 of the member towns. So, and if that happened and your town voted against it, your town is free to withdraw at any time by a vote of the legislative body. We just go out. Okay, the funding sources, though, the district as a municipality can get grant money that's available to municipalities. And that's key. If we can get these revenue bonds, we can do that in cooperation with a provider. The revenue bonds are paid by the provider out of revenues of operating the network.
The electric co-op is really anxious to see that.
They approached us already.
And who hosts the funds? Is it going through the town or is it solely through
The
the
district.
district?
The district. The district would do that. That's kind of those are the provisions that say, define the obligation of the town. And it's, the only real obligation is to send somebody to the meetings. There'll be one annual meeting and then whatever other meetings are scheduled. It could be once a month, once every other month. The district will be run by a governing board. One person from each member town will sit on the board. But there are advantages to working as a whole, and that's why we wanted to do that. We saw that operating under the broadband committee, right? So the Carroll County Broadband Committee, we had tremendous interest from the carriers, from legislators. We got bills passed that we helped write. And
7 bills so far.
we met with the PUC, we met with the bond bank. There was tremendous activity, but we couldn't get grant money.
Right.
Now we'll be able to.
And having all 19 towns in a county, and Carroll County is a big county, really gets people's attention. Steve and I were receiving phone calls from all over the country.
So just from that, all of a sudden, though, we're getting all this interest. We got 2 providers already building fiber in Carroll County. We got grant money that came to Carroll County through New Hampshire Electric Co-op, $50 million. So, well, a lot of that will come to Carroll County. A lot, and that's happening because we did it as a group. Speaking as a group. Going forward, you could end up with state-of-the-art internet, Fidium deploys, New Hampshire Electric Co-op deploys. It would still make sense to be part of the district, I believe, because there will be continuing issues to be addressed by legislators, to be addressed by regulatory agencies, and we can, as a district, speak as a louder voice. Down in Concord, even at the FCC, as issues come up. And remember, we filed comments at the FCC as the broadband committee. They didn't follow our comments, but they responded.
Right.
They said, no, it's not time to do that.
Now it is.
And I will supply you with the wording of the warrant article, specific in the statute, but it has to be filled in with the towns that are going to submit it
It is,
on their town warrants.
I have it here, it is defined by statute. Shall the town of Albany accept the provisions of RSA 53G 1 through 11, providing for the establishment of a communications district together with the municipalities of, and we'll list all the other municipalities,
We have to find out everyone that is gonna put it on their warrant and include them.
in accordance with the provisions of the proposed agreement filed with the Board of Selectmen. Bartlett and Jackson are interested in joining. They are not part of the planning committee.
Right.
But we'll be doing a public hearing up there as well, so they're interested in doing this too.
So what is the motion to, place on the warrant article?
Well, it's the selectman's job to put things on the warrant.
Yeah.
Yeah, we
Yeah,
just like
we
to
should
ask you
probably
to
have a motion to put it on the
put it on the
warrant.
warrant, yeah.
I
Yeah, it
will-
won't be a petition type of thing, it'll be a selectman's warrant.
Right. I'll make a motion to place this on the warrant for the 2023 March town meeting.
I second.
Good.
Motion.
I wasn't going to.
Whoa.
Yep, here we are, high five. Whew.
It was a big one. Discussion?
I personally am in left field with this. I don't get it.
Well, that's,
I
well,
have
besides
a
you.
flip phone, I
So
don't
you're
get
gonna,
it. I see
get
the
rid of your
importance
flip
because
phone?
we have two
No.
very,
I
well,
still have it.
say, and because Rick's here speaking to us, it makes sense that it's important, and that's, I give.
Yeah.
My confidence in you is the reason I will back this, because I know you do your research, and I don't believe you'd make a mistake.
And I'm frugal.
And you're frugal.
And I was on the
That-
committee that wrote
It
that.
goes a long way that you're supporting this, and I'm gonna trust that you, because I know you're a research-aholic. So, I saw the interview with Elon Musk the other day, and he said wider broadband is gonna give artificial intelligence the resource to communicate with each other, and they're gonna take over the world, and we're all gonna die. So,
Well,
he did say that.
we're a long way away.
So I'm
He's the
giving you
last
more
person,
credit than Elon Musk.
unfortunately, that I
I'm
wanna
saying.
hear
It's
advice
a good
from.
movie.
So if
I'm also
robots
Elon
show
Musk
up,
advice.
I'm gonna go to your house.
Kelly, I think.
I wholeheartedly support the whole thing. I think it's great. I think it's great for our kids, God forbid if,
Oh, they don't
Yeah, we
game
have-
enough. They just don't game enough.
well, no.
12 hours is not
It's not all about gaming, like you
Can
said.
I actually
There's
respond to that?
telehealth, there's,
No, I'd like to
online
respond to that. I'll tell you, the
school, everything
biggest
else, but
problem
still,
during the
yeah.
pandemic was school and people
That's
working
right.
from home.
That's right.
That was the biggest problem.
That's right.
So I would like to really address that head on, because, it's coming.
It's a scary thing.
It's coming, and
If
it
you
is
don't know your
scary.
stuff, it's a scary thing.
And having the district
Yeah.
will help us say, hey, wait, you guys stop using our data for that. There's gonna have to be rules about how this data gets used. They'll know
They're gonna
everything
do it
about it.
regardless. And I had them come up and put a box on my telephone pole out of nowhere, there's a van pulling up, no markings on it. White
Yeah.
van, they said, we're putting a box at the end of the run. I don't get people on my property.
So I'll be
What
on-
is going on?
I'll be on my computer
Rock.
sometimes.
So I didn't,
Well, you can blame me for that.
well, I mean, active or not active, I don't know, it's a blinking box on it.
Well, it's so that if you wish to get fiber to your premise,
Mhm.
okay, that's where they tap into it.
Right.
And bring it in.
If I.
They've already brought it into my house. They've run it.
Yeah.
The 2 poles going in the driveway and then underground from the last pole to the house.
If you want it.
Yeah, I've always been really interested in learning more why fiber optic is the way it's going instead of wireless,
Well,
and how
let me-
sustainable that is.
when we started this committee, and Kathy was town administrator at the time, okay, that was Steve's big thing, was 5G.
Mm,
We had several meetings with the folks from UNH who brought in that original fiber optic to the state through that big federal grant. Was it 15 years ago, I think it was? And they convinced us that fiber optic is the speed of light.
Mm.
Wireless, if you've got a tree, do you know Bert Weiss?
Mhm. Yeah.
Okay, Bert lives up in Chatham where you can't get there
Yeah.
from here. He had to cut down 7 huge pine trees in his yard in order to get satellite,
Mm.
that Skylink or
Sure.
whatever. So, I mean, it's affected by weather, it's affected by obvious trees and everything else, where fiber goes right, you've got a glass thing, the speed of light, and
As you know, Rick, 5G is listening. Fiber optic you have to plug into.
Right.
And as stupid as it sounds, I know that that's here
Well,
what I'm
yeah,
saying.
no,
right?
I didn't.
And we decided at that.
No, it's true.
I
It's
didn't hear
true.
what you said.
Everything pointed toward fiber optic at
Yes.
that point, and
Hardwired.
we changed it, hardwire is kind of the way to go at this point.
All right, we have a
You
motion on the
you
floor
have
and I
both.
have to go.
We have 5G, we have 5G.
So, can I call it to a vote and close the public hearing? You guys can continue
Yeah.
talking?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Call to a vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Great.
Kathy, I'd be happy to come in,
6:22.
I'd be happy to come into any meeting and explain anything.
Okay. Anybody calls with questions or?
Give them my phone number.
Any suggestions on this?
Yeah.
Let us know,
Okay.
because
Okay.
this can be revised for the next few weeks.
Okay.
We can still make changes.
Yeah.
If
But
you
if
think
you
there's something we need to
I
improve.
leave the meeting to the vice chair.
Yeah. Sweating.
Um,
All right.
thank you both.
Thank
All
you.
right.
Appreciate it.
Take care. Yeah, again, if you got any questions, let us know.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's worth holding on to some of the literature you have.
We have.
You
do? have this.
Is it?
We
I
Yeah, it was
may
sent,
not
it was
seen
sent,
that.
it was sent out.
Oh,
This
this-
is RSA 53G. I've got it available.
If you want PDF copies, let me know.
Yeah,
I'll
hold
send
on.
them.
I have them available for members of the public.
Is it?
It's many pages.
Okay. All
And I
right,
will supply you with the final warrant article wording. so
That's what I know
that
you'll do.
perfect.
Yeah.
What
No,
do
that's
we do
great.
at town meeting?
Tuesday. First Tuesday.
Ah, I
First
see.
Tuesday.
The warrant article is not subject to change at town meeting. I don't know if that ever happens here, but.
Yeah, to vote up or down.
It's,
Oh, yeah,
yeah, because it's statutory.
And there's no
Okay.
money connected to it,
Yeah.
so that's usually easy.
Okay.
We would-
I'd like to see, for Steve and my benefit, the town supports the rest of the county, basically.
oh, I,
You'll be to speak to it, right?
yeah,
I will be there, so
Okay, so. we
I'm
won't have to
into
worry.
it.
provided I'm still alive.
Yeah.
Didn't
As long
see
as the
that.
robots don't get you. You're all right.
Oh.
But we appreciate you.
Yeah, thank you
Thank you
both
very much.
so much
you.
for
All right.
coming in. That's great.
All right. Thanks for having us.
Yeah, thank you.
Good to see you, Rick.
Take care, Kelly.
Good night.
Madam Chair?
All right. So we are going to, I'm gonna motion to adjourn, or no, go into non-public, or we can't do
I think
that.
we should just skip the non-public.
Skip it?
She has a chance to weigh in.
That makes
It's kind of an
sense.
important thing, and I think the three of you need to
I agree with
That makes sense.
have a chat,
Yep.
but,
Yeah,
so you can,
I can make a motion to adjourn.
you can, or you could just, I mean, you should just take under advisement, like the correspondence and stuff. There's no
So just
action.
ride through 6, 7.
Okay.
And then ask Dorothy if she has any
Oh,
public input.
okay.
I think Dorothy made her public input under,
So other business, no planning board, no one else.
the planning board met Monday night, but I
Nothing.
don't think there was anything earth shattering on that, except that they want to come in about their budget.
Okay.
And then you have a
the
couple
court-
of,
Yeah, correspondence, review and discuss the notice from the town of Conway's planning board, notice of the request of, revocation of a 128 unit subdivision on the Kankamangus Highway. Kankamangus?
Longest.
Oh my gosh.
I think it was gonna be in front of Dorothy's house. 128 units.
Uh-oh. Is Dorothy still there? She's gone.
You'd have to just fill out.
All right, so anything, review and discuss, we just did that, charter communications, or we didn't just do that, but this is not new. Public comments over, I guess.
Yep.
So, I guess,
so we're gonna postpone the non-public session for the next meeting, which is on December 28th.
Yes.
very good.
Now you can make a motion.
All right, I make a motion that we adjourn.
Second that motion.
Okay. All those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Next meeting, December 28th at 5:30 PM at the Albany Town Hall.
Very good.
Thanks.
Very good.